This is the Washington Times front page for Monday, October 6th, 2025. Thanks for starting your week with us. I'm George Gerbo. The government shutdown is nearing a week, with lawmakers still stuck in their partisan corners and no prospect of a swift resolution. No one knows when the shutdown will end because neither side is backing down, Lindsey McPherson and Seth McLaughlin report. Republicans insist the only way out is for 5 more Senate Democrats to vote for the House-passed stopgap continuing resolution that would fund the government largely at prior fiscal year levels through late November. After taking the weekend off, the Senate will vote on that measure Monday evening for the 5th time. All 4 prior attempts fell short of the 60 votes needed to overcome a filibuster. The question of who's eligible for the Affordable Care Act has raged in recent days as the linchpin of this shutdown. Stephen Dinan reports Democrats demand that any bill to keep the government running must extend pandemic-enhanced Obamacare benefits and roll back recent changes to Medicaid eligibility. Republicans claim those changes would benefit illegal immigrants. Democrats counter that illegal immigrants aren't eligible for the programs. The Supreme Court is ready to kick off its new term next week, with the justices opening a session in which they'll grapple squarely with questions about President Trump's aggressive first-year agenda and the limits of executive power. Alex Schroyer reports cases about presidential firing powers and tariffs are on the docket, and others about immigration and spending powers are on their way to the court. 3 cases could determine the scope of transgender rights, and a ruling on voting rights could deliver the final word on whether the Constitution is colorblind or demands special consideration for historically oppressed minorities. The court has issued preliminary rulings on the president's executive actions over the past 9 months, with those cases ready for rulings that will shape the contours of the American presidency for decades to come. Pentagon insiders and leading defense firms have acknowledged an end to the post-Cold War era in which U.S. air power easily overwhelmed its foes. Ben Wolfgang reports great power rivals such as China and Russia have closed the gap by spending massively to boost their air capabilities. At the same time, the proliferation of cheap, easy-to-use drones has reshaped warfare and raised fundamental questions about what air superiority means. That fast-moving reality is driving decision-making inside the Pentagon and in leading defense firms across the West, with an acknowledgement that America's superiority is an ideal that must be defended, not taken for granted. A Pentagon counterintelligence advisor says foreign spy services from China, Russia, and elsewhere are engaged in low-level warfare targeting the United States. Bill Gertz reports advisor Shane McNeil said the U.S. government needs to stop using counterintelligence against foreign spies as a legal compliance back office. McNeil is speaking out as House Intelligence Committee Chairman Rick Crawford is promoting legislation to require major changes to what he called a disjointed American counterintelligence system. And finally, Sanai Takaichi, the new president of Japan's ruling Liberal Democratic Party, is set to become the first ever female prime minister of Japan. Andrew Salmon reports Takaichi admires former British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher and is a protege of former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. She remains to be confirmed as prime minister, a vote that is anticipated in mid-October. Although her election is not guaranteed, she'll likely gain the necessary numbers and serve out the remaining term of sitting Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba, which runs through September 2027. Find all today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page or on the Washington Times app, and find us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us on social media at Wash Times for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. For the Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.
Whatever team Fee is on has a chance to win a championship.
I'm Christina Williams, host of the podcast, In Case You Missed It with Christina Williams. The WNBA playoffs are here, and I've got the inside scoop on everything from key matchups and standout players to the behind-the-scenes moments you won't find anywhere else.
It's really, really hard to be the champions, but we have to remember how it feels and embrace the new challenge that we have.
So listen to In Case You Missed It with Christina Williams, an iHeart Women's Sports production in partnership with Deep Blue Sports and Entertainment on iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.